to Chasing the Gold. This is Oscar nominations week, so basically like Super Bowl week for Oscar people. And I have a very special episode today, all about the shorts. And of course, the only person I wanted to talk to about the shorts was Joey Moser from The Contending, founder and editor of The Contending, and my beloved friend. Welcome back to Chasing the Gold, Joey.
Thank you so much for having me. I thought we had a nice conversation last year. We can make this a yearly thing.
I would love that. I also want to have you back when the nominations actually come out, but I will bug you about that later. But I should say that you did a great conversation with Daniel Howitt from Next Best Picture and my Awards Buzz pal, Abe Freetanzer. So I will link that you guys go super in depth. You literally talk about every single film on the shortlist, which I love. So that is the perfect companion piece to this, and I love you too much to make you repeat all of that. So if you're looking for like the in-depth, like what is every single title in contention, I highly, highly recommend listening to that. That was fantastic. I'm so sad that I was in a metal bird and couldn't come hang out with you guys.
Metal bird.
Yeah.
Were you traveling when we did that?
Well, because Abe very kindly, like, he sent me all the shorts, and he was like, but then the day that you guys had scheduled, I was flying, and then I it was like too selfish to be like, let me make 3 people reschedule their plans because I can't be there. So yeah, I was bummed.
Yeah. We'll have to get you for the next one. We missed you.
For sure. But Joey, I have a question for you, which I don't think you guys touched on, but I think is important, which is like, for those of you who don't know, has been a rule change in terms of Oscar voting where you have to prove that you have watched everything, and they have like an Academy site that Academy members have to log into and check off all their choices that they've watched it. How do you think that is going to impact the shorts in particular?
That's a good question. I wonder how, on one hand, I wonder how, there are people who, I don't know technically how, I assume that you log in and you have to show that you watch from beginning to end on each movie, but I don't assume there's a camera on you watching them. So if someone is watching something that they're not particularly interested in, I imagine they'll almost act as if, they pop in a DVD of a screener, or on a portal. And if they, if their attention span falters, their attention span falters. So I'm very interested to see how that goes, whether some things that seem clearly like an Academy favorite will come through or not. But yeah.
Well, I was thinking about that because one of the markers that we use in predicting shorts, obviously you know this way better than I do, is like if there's a catchy title, we think like, oh, that probably has a good shot, as evidenced by like My Year of Dicks last year. That became such a huge meme of like Riz Ahmed announcing that nomination or that nominee. So like, do you think that still comes into play given now that people have to watch that? Or like, even you brought up a great point of like, maybe they're, snoozing in the middle or whatever it is. Like, did that factor into your prediction? Like, did you have to change the way you predicted this year? Like, how did you?
Not really. I guess this will be a good test if that means if I predicted the same way as I normally do. I think each branch of the shorts trio, I think there's a way of thinking for each one of the categories of how I think people will vote for stuff. But I predicted sort of the exact same way. I guess we'll see if I'm wrong.
Okay. Before we get into each of the 3 shorts categories, what are your feelings on like 2025 as a movie year, as an awards year? Like, let's do like a temperature check before we dive in here.
Yeah, I think like in general as a whole,
in general as a whole, but then also about the shorts.
Yeah, I am always a little surprised whenever people say it's a bad year. I think that people just don't go off the Oscar beaten trail enough. I think this in general for movies, features, and shorts was really great. I sense a lot of passion behind a lot of movies, whether it's One Battle, Sorry Baby, Hamnet. I'm getting a little sick and tired of people calling Hamnet Oscar bait. I'm gonna push someone down a flight of stairs for saying that. In terms of the shorts, as I was going through all of them, all 45, I think each one, I think this is one of the best years in terms of the shortlisted shorts. I actually think live action in particular, when I did my live action shortlist predictions post, I honestly could name 20 other shorts that qualified that I could see being shortlisted and nominated. I think live action in particular is I keep using the word robust. There are so many movies that I wish would have gotten in. Like, if I could just say, like, Jack Howard's Second Time Around, Tom Koch's Olive. I think those are both on YouTube if people want to watch them. The one that I was most heartbroken for, there's a movie by Alexander Farrar. It was like a queer coming of age movie. It's called One Day This Kid. It was available on, I think it's still available on the Criterion channel. If people want to watch, good shorts that are not part of the short list, this year would be the year to like really kind of get into it. Like Liz Rao did a movie called The Truck. There's one that I really liked, I think from Norway, called After Dark. I just think there's so many, and there's a lot actually. There's 3 off the top of my head that were really ambitious in terms of like genre short film filmmaking. One of them is on the short list, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about, and there are like 2 or 3 others I think are really great. So I think we are very spoiled this year, and if people are only waiting to see what is nominated, they really should do themselves a service and like hunt down the shorts that are shortlisted, because I think they're all really good.
And I will find all of the shorts, whether they're shortlisted or not, and try to link them for people. I did that for our conversation last year, and it like led me down a really interesting path. And also, thank you so much, because last year you told me about Shorts of the Week, that website, or Short of the Week.
Oh, yeah.
And so like I keep going back there and just finding really interesting shorts if I just want something to watch. So yeah, again, to plug Joey's incredible work at the Contending, and also our conversation last, because we got into a lot into like how you got into shorts and all that kind of stuff. But you're like really, really passionate about the shorts, so I'm so excited to have you here. Also, Joey, while we're talking about favorites and stuff, you've also interviewed most of the people on the short list. Did you have a favorite interview from this year that sticks out to you?
Oh, goodness. I will say, probably, I'm going to plug the same movie. It's not on the short list. One Day This Kid, I thought that conversation was great. Of the people that I spoke to, oh, goodness, that is on the short list, I would probably say, sorry, I'm looking at a spreadsheet to see which ones I've done. Something that I kind of geeked out about was Aaron Blaise, who is the director and animator of Snow Bear. He is the man who is responsible for some of the most iconic Disney Renaissance animation. Like my phone, like I have a From film phone cover. This is Beauty and the Beast. He was the animator of the Beast on Beauty and the Beast. He directed like Brother Bear. He worked on like Aladdin. So kind of talking to him, I'm glad it was a written interview, because I just blathered on and on and on. And he was just like, But he was really great. But that was like a little unexpectedly, I was like really kind of flustered, because I was like, hey, you're part of my childhood, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he was probably one of my favorites.
That's awesome. So to give you an opportunity to talk about more films that didn't get shortlisted that you love, what surprised you? Because again, you follow this stuff like all year. Like I see you at festivals and you're like, I got to go to the shorts presentation. But what surprised you about this? Speaking of blabbing, the way that this year has played out, like something that maybe missed the shortlist that you thought was a surefire contender, or something that's like gotten a lot of attention that you weren't expecting?
That's a good question. There's one that I really loved. It's to stay on animation. There's one called Overreacting. It's on the BAFTA shortlist, so it might get nominated for a BAFTA. That one's it's a stop motion animated movie about how we talk to women about, like, when are you going to have kids? And it's about a young woman whose ovaries, like, quite literally come out of her body and talk to her. I predicted that to be on the short list, and it didn't make it. That has, like, stop motion and puppetry. There's an original song that's in it. There's a documentary that is shortlisted that I feel a little silly for it not being in my predictions. It's called Perfectly a Strangeness. That one doesn't look like any of the other shorts. That is sort of a documentary it just follows a donkey around. And it's really, it's shot really beautifully. It'd be a really great companion piece to EO, that Polish movie. Polish, I think, from...
Oh
my God. You will like this one too, because it's I don't know, it's in a documentaries are chronicling real life, and it's like a point of view that you don't exactly expect. I wonder if that different perspective will give it a leg up, because it looks so different than everything else. And I gotta say, there's something that did surprise me. I was a little disappointed. There was a documentary short that it won at Critics' Choice. It won Best Short Documentary. I probably should have had this pulled up. Let's see. Critics' Choice Documentary. It was called Saving Superman. It was about, it won Best Short Documentary at Critics' Choice. It beat some other things that were shortlisted, like All the Empty Rooms. It wasn't even shortlisted. It's about a man with special needs who is sort of a figure in the community, and it's sort of about the housing crisis too. The owner of the building that he lives in, they jack up the rent and he can't afford it, and the community rallies behind him. I was shocked that didn't get in, but I'm also shocked that some other films that are repped by the New Yorker didn't get in. They had a slew of contenders. And the New Yorker is a place that you should turn to when you're trying to figure out what's going to get nominated for documentary short. And I think I did a bunch of interviews with some people, and they shortlisted two that were a little less on my radar. And so I was like, all right. I don't know. I was very surprised by that.
Well, you know how we keep talking about, like, the sort of awards campaign apparatus and how that impacts, like, Oscar predictions. I think that's also, it's very much the shorts. Like, one thing that you guys were talking about in your conversation was, like, the star power behind certain shorts and, like, who's campaigning for certain shorts. Like, can you talk about that a little bit? And again, how that might play into how we're making our, like, mad dash predictions here?
Yeah. So there have been many shorts that were shortlisted, I think, not only because of the star power behind them, but I think the star power definitely helps. I think the movie that we were talking about when I was talking with Abe and Daniel was about A Friend of Dorothy, which is directed by Lee Knight. That probably has the most famous faces in it. Stephen Fry, Miriam Margolyes. I think that one sort of evades that rule a little bit. Like, there was an Almodovar film from like 2 years ago with Tilda Swinton. There's another one, I think, from 2 years ago, and I can't think of what it was. It had a big star in it. So I think A Friend of Dorothy kind of slips by that rule. I think that helps you get your movie seen, especially if somebody like picks up your short film. But the reason why I'm predicting, I have A Friend of Dorothy in for live action. It's a really... Have you seen it yet?
I haven't, but and I should say shamefully, I haven't seen very many of these. But as soon as I saw it on the short list, I was like, I'm predicting this. And then I saw that a lot of people, I was like, it's happening. And I was hoping maybe you would talk me out of it, but you're not, so it's fine.
I think A Friend of Dorothy has a leg up because it is not just lighter, it has comedy in it, but it is also very heartwarming. Jane Austen's period drama is a little bit broader with comedy. It's really funny. The way I described it was stupid humor, but with an intellectual filter. That's what I said to somebody. Pantyhose is a really easy setup. It's about a couple who are just trying to get out the door, and they keep arguing about, like, she has a run in her stocking, so she goes upstairs. He's like, "What are you doing? We're running late." It's kind of like that Friends episode where they're trying to get out the door, and Ross is getting really mad, like distilled into a short film. So I think A Friend of Dorothy has a good chance because it has people they might recognize. It is a heartwarming story. But also the director, Lee Knight, that man is everywhere. He has been, I met him at Indie Shorts. I presented him with an award because he won a directorial debut. It's his first movie. He's I think a London-based actor who this is his first thing he's ever directed. He's so freaking charming. And he's been winning like directorial prizes like left, right, and center. And he's just a really great person to talk to. So some people are like, "Oh, it's too light, it's too this, it's too that." And I was like, it plays really, really well. So I think it's the kind of movie that people will respond to. Yeah.
One more overarching question that I have for you, which is like, just based on my research and what I've seen, I feel like the themes that are prevalent this year, which I feel like unfortunately they're prevalent every year because of the world we live in, but school violence, classroom shootings, the Israel-Palestine conflict, Ukraine. Like, were there other through lines that you noticed across the 45 incredible short list, or more than 45 because you're just watching shorts all year? But like, again, did anything stand out to you in terms of like kind of something that came up over and over again, or like threads that surprised you potentially?
Let's see. I think some of the docs. Well, it's interesting that there are certain instances like with movies that you mentioned where you could pair a live action film with a documentary. You could pair Butcher Stain with I'm kind of blanking on the title. Children No More. Were an Argon, though that deals with the Israel-Palestine conflict. One is obviously fiction, one is not. Extremist deals with it's a true story about a young woman who was arrested for all she did was put a sticker, I think, on a pill bottle in a pharmacy that said like, "Hey, Vladimir Putin is killing people." That's basically all she said. She was in prison for a considerable amount of time. I think there is something about there is a familial element to a lot of things in especially the docs that I can think of. All the Empty Rooms, school shootings, school violence, but it also is dealing with family. Armed with Only a Camera is directed by a brother who lost his Brett Renaud. He lost his brother, who's also a journalist. Bad Hostage, which I love that doc, is directed by Mimi Wilcox. It's basically a documentary about something that happened to her family. But then there's also like Heartbeat is about a man who's chronicling whether him and his wife want to have a kid. But they're also sometimes I roll my eyes a little when I say, but found family. But like that is also found in like Cashing Out. It's about the gay community during the AIDS crisis. Classroom 4 is a doc about people who are in prison who make a sort of connection with students that are outside of prison, that kind of program. Not Perfectly Strangeness, I'm sorry. Unhealing Land, Bird's Perch, that is about how that super famous picture from the Vietnam War of someone getting shot in the head is about two families. So I think that family is a big thing, at least in the documentaries. But yeah, there's also like a lot of correlations with also Adieu in live action with All the Empty Rooms, school violence, like you mentioned. It's kind of weird that there's some like tethers, threads.
Tethers is a good way to describe it. All right, which one of the three short categories should we start with, Joey?
Let's do animated.
animated. So you mentioned that you have a little bit of a different sort of way that you predict each of the three.
Yeah.
How do you go about animated short films?
So I think people respond to, again, this is sort of an untested theory. This is kind of what I tell myself. I think people respond to different styles of animation. I think sometimes when people watch, at least like when I show the films to my husband or my friends, whenever we watch them all together, there's always there's always films where people are like, well, that was weird. And something that I love and appreciate about the animated category is there is always, it's not all Pixar-y, it's not all Disney. Like Disney didn't get anything. It hasn't gotten, I think, anything in here surprisingly in the last couple of years, which is a little shocking. I think people respond to like a style of animation here. So something like a short that I absolutely love is Playing God. It's like a 9-minute short. It's got a little bit of a grotesque, horror-ish element. It's about the creation of a clay figure and his relationship with his creator, his like God, essentially. But it's he realizes that he's flanked on both sides with these really grotesque figures that look like him, but like their eyes are falling out, their jaw is disconnected, and he realizes that these are all figures that tried to escape and they fell over and injured themselves. So that animation, there's a really cool time lapse of how the animators worked on that movie, where they used like a quick drying clay. Like they had to apply it, and then I think they only had like 3 minutes to animate it. That is really cool, and it looks totally different than something like Eru or The Three Sisters or like Retirement Plan. That movie is 8 minutes long, but it is all hand drawn. So I think variety is something to keep in mind when people, at least when the shortlist comes out. Like Butterfly. Butterfly is from, I think, France. It's the true story of a swimmer who showing his adversity during the Holocaust, before like he was a successful swimmer and then he was imprisoned, and like that short is made with like paint, like the camera captured the animators like and directors just painting, which is really kind of crazy. So I think, sorry, long-winded answer. It's it's the more variety in animation, I think, lends itself to the shortlist itself.
Somebody described Playing God. It might have been you, but it's like the toy restoration sequence from Toy Story, but like creepy and kind of gross.
Yeah, that's exactly that. I think I said that. I think that's like the like,
Sorry,
you know, like
the your own
no, I think it's anyone can use it. It's sort of like the moment when you see in Toy Story 2 when he like paints over Andy's name on the bottom of Woody's boot. It's like that, but with blood and viscera and spit and it's so. I saw that on like a whim when I was covering, I think it was Palm Springs. I saw the title, and someone I know that also covers shorts, Brandon McMurray at Short Stick, he was like, you have to watch Playing God. And I was like, okay. And I knew nothing about it. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? It was so cool. I think it's a really great example about like animation doesn't have to be cutesy. It's there to tell a story. Yeah.
Well, animation is cinema, as Guillermo del Toro
yes.
really likes to say. One more overarching question, Joey, that you just made me think about. I think this also came up, it did come up last year, because I actually got 2 of the 3 shorts categories correct, and the one that I got wrong was animated short. And then, ironically enough, the Persian one won, the one that had to do with the father who had like PTSD. You know, I forgot the name of the short. But we keep talking about, in terms of Oscar predicting over and over again, the Academy is getting more and more international. Yeah. Has that played into, I think it has very much played into like the nominations we've seen? And like, again, did that go into predicting here? Because like if something has like more of a French, that might benefit it, right?
I think so. I think you, in animated, you always, I joke, I think I said this when I was, sharing some shorts with my friends, like we were watching them together, I was like, there will be something super French, something like The Shyness of Trees is like, I don't even know if it's from France, but it feels very international. I Died in Urban, very international. The Girl Who Cried Pearls, that very international. So I always sort of, it's so common to me that I kind of look forward to that kind of flavor. Even though we do kind of see that also replicated in live action short, you definitely see something childlike and weird and foreign or international and animated. I love that.
All right, Joey, I'm going to read you my 5 predicted nominees, and then you're going to tell me why I'm wrong. Okay.
So I know nothing.
You know everything, and I know nothing. That's why you're here. Okay. So I have Retirement Plan, El Rue, Playing God. I'm going to go The Girl Who Cried Pearls, and I'm going to go Snow Bear.
I have Snow Bear, Retirement Plan, Playing God, The Girl Who Cried Pearls. I have Aru at 6. I go back and forth putting it in. I think that last spot is either Aru, The Three Sisters, or I just lost it, or Butterfly. I don't think it's Forever Green, which is one that I love. That is a great example of different types of animation. It looks like the bear is carved out of wood. I don't think it's The Quinta's Ghost is great. That's all about kind of like the painter Goya, the creepy paintings that were found. There's a whole name from the Black Era, I think it was called. That one is really kind of creepy and disturbing, but it's really intriguing. I don't think those are in. So I think I'll probably put in The Three Sisters because it is a little lighter. It is funny. It kind of reminded me of The Golden Girl, an episode of The Golden Girls. I have that in, but I could totally see Aru getting in. I keep going back and forth with that one.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there somebody around behind Aru that's like a higher profile person, right?
Let me look.
In my research a lot.
What is
higher profile than the rest of them, I think.
Yeah, it is produced by like Cartoon Saloon. So that gives, if people ever want to do any kind of research on, I can't think of if there's like a particular person, but Cartoon Saloon is, if people need any kind of info about animation or animated shorts in particular, their coverage is insane. So that's a really great reason why to put them in, even if people haven't seen it. Cartoon Saloon is a great reference.
Is there one that you think like people are underestimating here? Like if there's going to be a shocker, what would it be, you think?
I think Huracan could totally get in. That one that one is like all black and white. It's a man, I don't say like a slice of life movie, but it is a man with like he has a pig head and they don't explain it. He goes to it's him like trying to get a keg to impress a bartender that he has a crush on. It's like he's trying to like save his favorite, I think, like beer stand, and it's like this sort of like fun, almost madcap comedy romance. I don't know. It's I think that could totally get in, but I don't see a lot of people predicting that at the moment.
So consider this your last, or I guess not your last because it's only Monday, but if you had like an FYC for one of these shorts to get in, give us like a spiel, to advocate for one of them.
Oh, like if I was campaigning for one of these?
Yeah.
Well, I already talked about Snow Bear, so I won't do that. I would, if I had to campaign for a retirement plan, I would say you should vote for a retirement plan because everybody can relate to something that man says. and it's very specific but very universal. Simplicity. Vote for simplicity. Beautiful simplicity. There.
I love that. I'm gonna send you, by the way, what is that? Beastia. I'm gonna send you the Beastia doll in the mail, and then I'll also send you some campaign merch that says "Vote for Simplicity."
Yes.
All right.
I want a Beastia doll so badly. Oh.
I know. I heard you say that, and I was like, I need to figure out how to get one of those, and I'll send one to Joey, because that's one of the highlights of last year that you told me about Beastia, and then I watched it, and I was like, oh gosh.
I was like, what is this movie?
All right, Joey, I want to go to live action short film next, because it's maybe the category that I know a lot about some of these titles and not so much about the other ones.
Okay.
But tell me a little bit more about live action short and how you predict that one, if there's something different that you take into consideration for a live action short film.
Yeah, I always think that live action short is people responding to the story itself, like the mechanics of the story, whether it is, I know a lot of people, like we talked about, people joke about picking a title that they really like, but I think that with something like An Irish Goodbye won a couple of years ago, I think people responded to the story there. I think The Neighbors window from, God, I can't remember how many years ago that was. I think people really respond to that. Last year's I'm Not a Robot, they were like, oh, I can totally see myself getting frustrated over being locked out of my account. That's what I think really moves people to vote for something. To me, and that's kind of the reason why I think A Friend of Dorothy has sort of, I don't say an advantage there, but yeah, an advantage. So I will say the films that I think, or that I hear, or people when I talk to them about this category, this is my favorite of the three. Mainly because I probably dabble the most in live action. People are talking a lot about Two People Exchanging Saliva, The Singers, and Beyond Silence. I think those are the three ones that people are talking about the most. Now, I think I've been hearing about Two People Exchanging Saliva for quite literal 2 years. I ran into the filmmakers at Telluride. That one, for people that don't know, is about a sort of dystopian future where kissing people is, what's the right word? Punishable by law. And they make people you see people eating onions, and they gave me a little pack of garlic gum. That's a little promotion. So I have that over here on my desk. That one it's beautifully shot. It's really weird. It's really absurd. It's oddly funny, oddly very romantic. And they are making it into a feature. It's just that I think people really respond to that one. Title-wise, content-wise, those filmmakers are everywhere. They're really, really hustling. I think the two other ones are taking people a little by surprise. The Singers is directed by Sam Davis. He won at Indie Shorts. I met him at Indie Shorts. Great guy. He is, I don't say mainly a cinematographer, but he did the cinematography for Dee Dee. He was a producer on Nine Nine and WIPO, which was nominated a couple of years ago in documentary short. That movie, The Singers, is just about a bunch of guys sitting around a dusty, dirty bar, and a singing competition breaks out. That movie is gorgeous. It's beautifully shot. No surprise. And I think that one has an emotional pull that people aren't expecting. I personally really love that movie. Beyond Silence, one of my contending colleagues just saw it, and what he said about that movie, and I'm kind of mad that I didn't think of this myself. He said, this is what After the Hunt wanted to be. That movie is about two sisters. One of them is deaf, one of them is not. And they go to a professor. The deaf sister is a grad student, and she's trying to appeal to a female professor that she has been assaulted by a colleague. So obviously it's about communication, I think the really pressing thing about that short is about generational trauma being shared with people. And when I spoke to the director, she said she had heard stories around the time of Me Too when younger women were telling about their experiences and older women were being like, aren't we done with that? Are we still talking about this? So it's sort of like this connection between different ages, but also I guess the unexpected conflict that's there. Like, shouldn't you want to try and help people? Why do we have this like almost inherent judgment? That one, I feel like so many people are being really shocked by it, at least in just people that I talk to. I just talked for a long time. I'm sorry.
Oh, you did not. That was fascinating. I'm gonna read you the 5 that I have. Which again, okay, this is the one, interestingly enough, that I'm like least confident about, because I've heard so many good things about. Like, I feel like there's a lot of passion behind a lot of these, or like they have hooks where I'm like, oh, the Academy is probably gonna go for that. Oh, the Academy is probably gonna go for that. So I'm going with Two People Exchanging Saliva, A Friend of Dorothy, The Singers, Beyond Silence, and for my last lot, I'm going Jane Austen's period drama. Now, I understand. I think Rock, Paper, Scissors probably has a better shot and is like a smarter pick. But I just think Jane Austen's period drama, first of all, the name. Who doesn't love anything having to do with, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you gave me a list of shorts, which, like, that was the first one that I wanted to watch because I just wanted to know what it was about. And I feel like that really benefits it. And also, like, it's like different from the other ones a little. It's like a more lighthearted. So I don't know if that's just my own personal bias, but like there's again so many, like I said, Rock, Paper, Scissors is like more timely. Autos like more personal and like has like that kind of hook. The Pearl Comb I've just heard so much about over and over and over again.
I love the Pearl Comb.
So see,
I will say that I'm struggling a lot with this category more than I normally do. I share a lot of the same ones as you. I have Two People Exchanging Saliva, The Singers. I have Friend of Dorothy. I have Beyond Silence. And that last spot is really, it's really bugging me. I've put in Extremist. I've put in The Boy with White Skin. But I think I'm going to go with Rock, Paper, Scissors. It did win the BAFTA. I don't know. I have a really, I don't know of those 5. I can see something falling out, but I don't know what would fall out. I would kill for the Pearl Comb to get in there. That is one of the ambitious genre-y films that gets in there. That's a horror film about like, for people who may not know about it, it's about a mermaid and a man who gets lured in, but it also has a thread about like gender disparity in medicine. Who knew? That yeah, it's so, or just like gender disparities all over the place. It's period. It's got awesome crafts. And I gotta say, I interviewed the director, Ali Cook, and he. A lot of his headshots, he looks really intense, and then like he's just like the most affable, friendly. I think he's like I think he's a magician in his spare time, or he was a magician. I would love it if that got in, but I'm not sure. Like, is it horror? Are they going to go for horror? I don't know. So I don't have that one in there right now. But the other 2, like Dad's Not Home and Butcher Stain, those both won prizes at the Student Academy Awards, but the Student Academy Awards usually get shortlisted and unnominated. And I can see people getting. I put a do in there too, and then I took it out, and I don't know. So I think this one is way trickier than we think. And watch, none of these will get nominated, and it's 5 other ones. I don't know.
A different combination. Yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna ask you. Is like, what would fall out? And I don't know. Well, is there like kind of what I asked you for the last one? Is there a left field contender that maybe we're not taking as seriously? Because I feel like there is a consensus around like most of the like there's like several that have risen to the top, and I'm like maybe there's something we're not seeing.
I wonder if it's The Boy with White Skin. That one is about a there's I'm gonna say there's no dialogue because there is dialogue, but it is about an albino boy that is lowered into a mine, and he sings a song because the people believe that the gold in the mine is alive and they need like music to have it like come out. But the thing is, the director is kind of obsessed. His name is Simon Penney. He's kind of fascinated. I shouldn't say obsessed, maybe obsessed. I don't know. Fascinated with like this world. Like he's done like I think a documentary about this or a documentary short. But they believe that they can't like touch the gold. It has to be somebody who's brought in. And I have to say that one, it has a lot of atmosphere. And I said this when I interviewed him, like they're not in an actual mine. They recreated a mine for this, but it kind of felt like when you see the dust going along the headlamps, it kind of feels kind of magical. So I think if I had to pick something that could spoil to get in, I would say that one.
Well, get on your soapbox, advocate for your favorite that you think may or may not get
Sure. I will keep it short and sweet. Pick a Friend of Dorothy. It's gay. It's about theater. And you have Mira Margolis dropping F-bombs. I think at least once. So what more do you want in a short film than that?
Truly, what more do you want? Well, I don't know, Joey. I was hoping you'd help me more with live action because I'm really not sure about that one. But you know, I kind of think of this as like when I was in college or whatever, where I was like, I've studied, I've done as much research as I can. I don't know what I don't know at this point. So like at a certain point, you have to just move on. So I feel like that's where I am. It's like I've done the best. I put in the work as much as I could, and I need to just move on.
Well, the thing is, like, 2025 was the most shorts content that I churned out. Like, I made a point to be like really shorts forward in 2025, and I gotta say, these categories are so volatile. I think this is probably why people don't cover them all year. I'm the only psychopath who does it that I know of, other than like shortstick.com, short of the week, things like that. It's like I could be so sure. I have been so sure about a lot of years, and then next thing you know, I get like predictions 2 out of 5 right. I don't know.
Well, I will say I didn't do as well of a job of watching the shortlisted shorts, but last year was the first year that I was like, I'm going to watch every single nominated short before the Oscars. And genuinely, some of the shorts that I watched, I was like, these are better than the, full, whatever you want to call it, like the full-length features nominated. Like, I loved some of those shorts. So I'm definitely going to do that again this year and highly encourage everyone. And I need to say again, if you go to the contending, read Joey's coverage, because for me your coverage has become like the short predicting bible. Like I'll like go and like read your predictions first before I so if you're going down, I'm going down with you, I guess.
Sure.
Joey.
I'm at least going down confidently. So a lot of people are like, I don't know, but I'm like, I'm going down with the ship. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Going down with research. All right, let's end with documentary short subject, and I'll begin again by asking you, is there sort of a philosophy you have for documentary short subject when you're predicting this
category? I think that people will watch something at least first when they find out what the subject matter is. Like, for instance, All the Walls Came Down is about people who lost everything in the Altadena fires. I saw the director was a Telluride this year. I didn't make it to her screening, but I wonder if, or I suppose that people hear about a subject matter of what a documentary short is, and they may move it to the top of their pile. Like The Devil is Busy is about like women's healthcare. And the only reason why I think that theory hold to any kind of water is because when the shortlist comes out for the stuff that I don't know what they are, I like look up, you know, who directed it, what the runtime is, what the subject matter is, and I put it all into a really dorky spreadsheet, and I go through and I like read the little description that's provided, and it's like, oh, this is about this, that, and the other. This is about the Vietnam War. I'll watch that now. So I think maybe people get a little excited in there watching when they find out what some of these are kind of tackling. That's my at least purview, I assume.
All right, Joey, given that you're my guest, tell me what 5. Well, first of all, let me ask you this. So, this is going to be posted Monday, January 19th. Oscar nominations come out on Thursday, the 22nd. How are you like locked in now, or are you still going to tinker with these?
I would say I'm like 90% locked in. I'm not going to like move everything out. I will be publishing some formal predictions, one for each branch on the contending. I'm going to be posting one later tonight, and then I think one on Tuesday and one on Wednesday. I've been working on them simultaneously, so I don't know which one's going to get posted then. I guess we'll figure out when it happens. I'm a good 95% locked in, I think.
All right, stay on the edge of your seat just to see which one of the 3 Joey puts up first.
Yes.
Okay, so what 5 are you predicting for best documentary short film?
I have All the Empty Rooms, All the Walls Came Down, Cashing Out. This is where it gets a little. I'm okay. Yes, The Devil is Busy, and then I think my last one is. This is the uncertainty. Confidently, right now, I will say Classroom 4.
Okay, I have Heartbeat. No particular order. I guess I should order these at some point. Heartbeat, All the Empty Rooms, All the Walls Came Down, The Devil is Busy, and Classroom 4. I'm very tempted to put in Armed with Only a Camera.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of like what we were talking about with the last category, I don't know what to take out. So
yeah.
yeah.
This documentary short actually took me a little by surprise, to be honest. I will admit there are some years where I'm just like, I watch all the documentaries a lot closer together, and it's sort of a bleak couple of days because most of the documentaries are very serious. After I had seen everything, and then I was looking at the list, I didn't realize how freaking strong this category is, or how strong the short list is, I would say. I had Heartbeat in because the director Jay Rosenblatt was nominated twice in the last 5 years, and then I took it out. I had Children No More up there because it deals with the Israel-Palestine conflict. I honestly think On Healing Land, Bird's Perch could get in there. The only ones that I think, well, and then there's, I say the ones I don't think are going to get in. This has happened before where like Netflix has had like 4 titles, and I was like, oh, they're going to get 2, and then they get 3 or 4. Like Ravina's Choice is a movie about how, healthcare is deteriorating after, in, I'm going to get I almost say Somalia. Someone please yell at me if I'm wrong. Because I don't have my notes in front of me. Showing how aid to other countries is being really affected, and people are automatically dying because USAID has fallen out from United States support. That was signed in January of 2025, and they already made a documentary about it. Also has the New Yorker connection, so I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if people are like, oh, that's about USAID. I'm the most bleeding heart liberal you ever think. Let's give the middle finger to the current administration. Let's vote for that.
They can make a statement with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are two. I think it's kind of interesting. There are two films about the Vietnam War on this list. Both take incredibly different approaches to it. Or they might, the Last Days on Lake Trinity. That one actually really affected me a lot. I think it's that one's really sad. It's about a trio of women, not just them, but other people. The film focuses on a trio of women who are getting kicked out of their the land that they live on because a mega church owns the land, but not the trailers that the older women live in. Available on YouTube, on the New Yorker's YouTube. People want to watch it. It's really good. I've seen it a couple times. Or if it's something like Chasing Time. Chasing Time is about climate change and how the glaciers are melting, and the photography of that when they show the time lapse, that is staggering. Someone said that they didn't think Cashing Out would get in because it's more of a talking head documentary, but that was the last doc that I watched. Didn't know what it was about. That one's about viatical settlements during the height of the AIDS crisis, about how gay men sold their life insurance policy so they would get money to live the final days that they had with a car, a vacation. They could buy a house for their partner. I feel like so many people were talking about that movie during the week of voting. So that's why I put it in. I felt like I could not stop seeing that movie everywhere. So that's why I have it in, but it could be Classroom 4. That one, I won't say it's lighthearted, but it's more lighthearted than some other ones that are on this list. Armed with Only with a Camera, like you mentioned. I think the first journalist that was killed after the invasion of Ukraine started. There's so much here. I'm not helping anybody who's listening here. I'm just telling them good things about every single one of them. So I don't know.
When I was listening to the conversation that you had with Abe and Daniel, I hadn't heard of Cashing Out, and that was the first one that I was like, I need to watch this. And that was the first one that I watched because I felt like it was so interesting just based on I think I think you're right. I think just based on what it's about, people, there's certain ones that are going to move to the top of people's lists. But I feel like there's a lot of these films that could, I guess, fall into that depending on what you're personally passionate about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's hard to, kind of take into consideration, oh, I really like this movie, but does everybody else have that same kind of purview? You kind of don't know. I guess the way that you can kind of Classroom 4 was nominated at Critics' Choice. It's on PBS now. People want to take a look at it. It got something else. I think it was shortlisted at it won at LA Shorts Fest. It was part of the Hot Docs short list. I think so that one's also been around for, I would say, a minute. I think the ones that the one that I think everybody is predicting is All the Empty Rooms, because I feel like you can't kind of avoid that one. It's everywhere.
Have you noticed the same thing with the shorts categories where I feel like with docs, usually the most popular one, they never nominate that one? In the feature category, doc feature, do you feel like something like that? Is there a similar trend in the shorts category?
That I might have to do a little more research on. That's actually very interesting. I will say when I go to, I think sometimes the title that you always hear about, they always kind of make it in. I first heard about using All the Empty Rooms as an example. Again, I saw they were having an exhibition of the photos at Telluride. And it was a thing that I was looking at when I looked for the short list. I was like, okay, Netflix usually has something in contention here. Netflix is very good at documentary short. They only had 2 that they could have gotten nominated. The other one, Masaka Kids, did not get shortlisted. That's their pony. Joshua Seftel, the director, he was nominated, I think 2 years ago for Stranger at the Gate. That one just feels like really, really solid. But I feel like this was the first year that I noticed, like I said, with the New Yorker stuff, like the New Yorker ones are like, we're over here on the left, and the voting's like, no, we're gonna go right. We're gonna go over here. There are certain things that I personally follow like that, but I think typically you hear about something and it gets really well reviewed and it keeps popping up. It generally pops up. Watch, I will be wrong.
All right, Joey, get on your soapbox. What film should we watch of the contenders and vote for of the contenders for documentary?
Okay. I'm just gonna go total left field. Mention a movie. I love a lot of these movies, but I will say, vote for Bad Hostage. You think your grandma had a crazy story? Well, was your grandma taken hostage in the 1970s around the same time as Patty Hearst? No? Well, then your family sucks and hers is better. So watch Bad Hostage.
Phenomenal.
They're gonna regret ever talking to me because they're gonna be like, we're not gonna talk to you anymore.
Like that's the endorsement that we get. Do you have any sort of overarching to close out thoughts, prediction? Well, let me ask you this, Joey. Okay, so imagine it's Thursday. You're like watching the nominations come out. First of all, what are you looking for just in terms of like what's going to stand out? You know what I mean? Like what is your like
for the shorts or in general?
Yeah. Well, let's do shorts first and then we'll do general.
Something that I will say that happens every year without fail. Something that I feel like I count out or I don't hear a lot about, something will get nominated. Whether, I don't know which branch or which of the 3 it will be in, something will surprise me, and usually I will be sitting in my pajamas with my like 4th cup of coffee, and I'll just do this when something gets named. I'll go, ha! That will happen. I think prediction about the shorts.
Okay, just promise that whatever you haw about, you'll text me and be like, that's the one that I hawed about.
Oh, I will. I
really want to know what that is now.
Okay. And then for the rest of the season, this is what I kind of want to happen. Even I don't know if it will, but I kind of want Wicked to come back with a vengeance and get nominated everywhere just to piss people off. I'm hoping for chaos. That's what I want.
Well, you know what, Joey? I think I have hung on to Wicked in my 10th slot, and then I just took it out for The Secret Agent. But I feel like it's going to get nominated, and I'll be like, I had this all freaking season. Like I had Papa Skarsgård winning the Golden Globe for so long, and then I switched it to Jacob Elordi because I was like, he's the hot young star, and then I was like, I got it wrong. So I don't know what that means, but I feel like that's what's gonna happen. To be like like Jane Austen, I like as soon as the shortlist came out, I was like, I'm just gonna put that in my 5. I have a feeling about it, and I feel like if I take it out, it's gonna get nominated and be like, you had that the whole time.
So this is a moral for everybody. If you're passionate about something and you're thinking about taking it out at the last minute, don't do it.
It's you'll be wrong. It's like research and like gut and then passion. Like you just mix all 3 of them. Yeah. Sure. Shout out to Mark Johnson, the awards alchemist. Like it really is alchemy of something.
Yeah, a little dash of this, a little dash of that. I don't think Wicked's getting it for Best Picture anymore, but I have a really good. The main reason why I'm mad and being a little stubborn about it is for my Best Picture menu. I have a really stupid a stupidly titled, I will say, food for it, that whether it gets in or it doesn't get in, I will say on Twitter what it is. But I wanted to get in just so I can have a stupidly titled something on my menu. That's the stupid, selfish reason as why I wanted to get in for Best Picture.
There are 1,000 reasons why y'all need to be following Joey Moser. One of them is that every year, which I'm still waiting for my invitation, by the way, but one of them is that he has like an Oscar party every year, and his menu is always tied to the Best Picture nominees.
Yeah.
And he posts the most incredible photos of these creations, like creative, amazing creations that you make. It's like one of the things, Joey, I'm not exaggerating, I look forward to the most about the Oscars is to see what your menu looks like, because it's always so much fun and creative and interesting.
Thank you. That's very sweet. Yeah, I spend way too much time thinking of puns, and my husband's really good at making puns. So we're at the time now where he needs to start watching the movies to help me think of food. I can't take credit. He does a good chunk of the silly time. Yes.
Well, I'm either waiting for an invitation or like a box sent to me in Houston of something.
Okay.
So yeah. Joey, the contending, but where can people plug yourself one final time as we say goodbye?
Sure, yeah. If anybody wants to follow me, I think I'm on Instagram and The Bad Place at Joey Moser 83. I'm on Blue Sky too. Just search my name. I think I'm everywhere, but I have too much ADD to constantly post in every single place. I talk about shorts. I talk about cheese. I talk about actresses. So if you like any of those, I'm your guy.
I am at Shadan Larki everywhere. By the time this is posted, my final Oscar predictions podcast is out. My predictions will be fully updated. I will not touch them. Tonight's my deadline, so it is what it is.
I gotta say, like, more people need to. I really want to just say on Twitter is like, lock it in and walk away. That's all you can do.
Yeah, because again, the last minute changes is always what gets you. Where you're like, why did you?
Yeah.
So
totally. Lock
it in, walk away. Great advice. And then I will post. Joey's video with Abe and Daniel. As many resources as I can find will be in the comments of this video. Joey, thank you so much. I adore you.
Thank you. I adore you too.
I've been listening to your voice for like 4 hours today, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. I had the best time engaging in Joey content. So thank you so much.
Of course, thank you so much for having me. I look forward to this every year.
Well, we'll see you on the 22nd when nominations come out, and we can scream at everything we got wrong. So until then, Thank you for listening to Chasing Gold.